Hello everyone, and welcome to this extended track guide on the just newly added Laguna Seca track. Be ready to fly into space on yellow sausage curbs. We are using the BMW today. The setup is made by a viewer and you can download it and other setups for free in my Discord. My community already had setups for Laguna Seca and Daytona 30 minutes after 1.4 release. There are currently setups for both of these tracks for almost all cars. This setup is very stable over all the camber and off-camber parts on this track. The BMW is very nimble and controllable throughout the lap. If the car is unstable under braking, put the brake balance of the car a couple of clicks more to the front. If the car is unstable under acceleration, increase the TC and TC cut. Today we will not only be talking about general braking points and track limits, but also about pit entry and exit, do's and don'ts and overtaking opportunities. Hopefully this guide will help you with mastering this track. A very important note, before we start this track guide I want to point out that I do not want to see anyone use these numbered boards. Oh, but it's easier to spot where to brake! Shut the fuck up! You don't see shit when the boards are crashed into oblivion, which happens 99% of the time. So this track guide only uses permanent brake markers. Another note is that the sand does not really slow the car down that much, it's very slippery. So when you dip two wheels into the sand, you do not lose that much time. Because it's so slippy, it's also very easy to crash the car into the wall on this track. So be warned. At turn 1, watch out for the concrete barrier on the left. Trust me, I've seen multiple people hit it already. Get as tight of a line towards turn 2 as possible, but make sure the car is on the right of the track pointing straight before turn 2. Watch for the first line on the ground and brake just before it. Brake straight, and when you've passed the last line, start trail braking towards the apex of the corner. Keep trail braking into the corner until you've slowed and rotate the car enough for the second apex. Be decisive on the throttle on exit. This corner is a double apex corner. You want to hit the first apex, let the car drift wide and come back for the second apex. In this corner I like to avoid the first curb to make the entry a little bit wider. This helps hitting the second apex and you have an easier and better exit on throttle. Make sure you are not overloading the tires on entry by braking and steering too hard simultaneously. The more you steer, the less you want to brake. It's important to be patient and trust that the car will rotate back for the second apex. Watch out for the yellow sausage curb as they are deadly. On exit, try to rotate the car on throttle, but be careful for too much oversteer. Avoid hitting the sand on the exit. This is a really difficult technical corner, but after a while it will just click. For turn 3, look at the sand where the other sand starts. Brake when you're just alongside it. Try not to brake too hard as you will just induce understeer. In this corner you want to rotate the car on the brakes. After you've rotated and slowed down enough on the brakes, start accelerating hard to get the last bit of rotation done on throttle. Don't hit the yellow sausage curb or you'll be launched into space. Use all of the curb, but watch out for the sand on exit. It's not the end of the world if you dip two wheels into the sand, it will cost about 1.5 tenths. For turn 4 you want to look for the end of the red and white curb and you want to brake about 5 meters before it. Do a very light tap on the brake and turn the car in. When you hit the curb, smash the throttle. I like to do a pretty early apex, because I do the rest of the rotation on throttle at the apex. If you do this perfectly, the car will be in a slip angle and correct itself on exit. Don't hit the yellow sausage curb, or you will have a makeout session with the tire wall. Watch out for the sand, but again, it's not the end of the world if you hit it. Just keep your foot planted. Foot planted! For turn 5, look for the bridge and brake 10 meters after it. Alternatively, you can look at the curb and brake when the tire marks start. Brake hard and straight. Turn in very late for this corner as you want a good late exit for the uphill acceleration zone. Turning in this late also helps utilizing the camber of the road perfectly. It is very important in this corner that you follow this specific line. Hit the inside curb at the end and smash the throttle. You can do this in second or third gear. See what you like. Don't hit the banana though. On the exit curb you can see that the track is suddenly off camber. Make sure the car is done rotating before hitting the off camber part. Otherwise you will have a big slide. On exit also be careful with track limits. For turn 6 you want to look on the right where the tarmac ends and brake very gently when alongside. Accelerate again at the apex. I don't like braking on the curb here as the car can become unstable. It's very important to not brake too hard for this corner as you don't want to induce understeer. On the apex you want to get as close as you can to the yellow sausage curb as there's a lot of camber here. But don't hit it unless you want to use the joker for this race. When you hit the dip, go on the throttle again. Because of the compression there's a lot of grip. Be very careful on exit as the car can slide on the astroturf. You don't want to hit the sand here, because you will go very wide into the wall. Also be careful with track limits because they are pretty harsh. You can do this corner in third or fourth gear. See what you like. A good exit is important for the uphill. Coming up to the corkscrew you want to go all the way on the left curb and after turn to the right. Watch for where the white part of the curb starts and where the white line is. Brake just a tiny bit before it. Brake hard on the green astroturf and trail brake towards the apex. Shift up to second gear and watch your throttle over the crest as the car goes very light here. It is very important to set the car up correctly before the braking. You want to go from the left curb to the right one to open up for the corkscrew better. You want to hit the apex nicely as there's a lot of camber there and lots of grip because of the dip. Watch out for the... well, you know what I mean. When you've hit the dip, shift up and go on throttle. You want to modulate the throttle here, so you don't wheel spin like a madman. It depends on setup and car how much throttle you can give. It can be very difficult to see where you need to aim the car, as this corner is completely blind. But a handy trick is to use this bush behind the fence. If you point the car in that direction, you will hit the apex perfectly. Don't be scared to go on throttle just after the crest, because you go from no grip to big grip because of the compression. Try to get a feeling for when you can go on throttle. Watch out for track limits on the downhill part. Also watch for track limits in the braking zone. It should be pretty easy to get the car towards the right side of the track again for turn 9. It's all about finding a rhythm and balance in this corner. In the beginning it can help to look at the little tree to help you in this ultra blind corner. I want to give a special thanks to all my Twitch and YouTube members. For turn 9 you want to position the car on the right of the track. Lift off the throttle somewhere around the start of this curb. Gently turn the car in and be patient. Go on the throttle again before the curb and use all of the exit curb. For this corner you need to set the car up on the right, but not too much. Right about here is perfect. You want a very late apex again. Don't turn in too early. In this corner you have to follow a very specific line again, because of the camber in the road. There is so much camber it almost looks like an oval. Try to hit the red and white curb, as there is the most amount of grip, but be careful of the yellow On exit, the grip is suddenly gone, as the track goes off camber. You want to get most of the rotation done before the off camber part, but be careful for oversteer here. This corner is all about not turning in too early and patience. Follow the flow and camber of the corner and utilize all the grip. After the corner, you need to immediately bring the car back to the left for turn 10. For turn 10 you want to look for the white part of the curb and gently brake alongside it. Alternatively, you can look where the sand starts and brake a tiny bit later. Trail brake or coast towards the apex and go on throttle at the curb. For this corner, it is important that you didn't go too wide in turn 9. Make sure the car is back on the left before braking. You need to hit that curb as there is so much grip here, but again don't hit the... Go aggressive on throttle and utilize the banking for acceleration. On the exit, the camber suddenly stops again and the car can become very loose. Watch out for the sand. This corner is all about carrying as much speed as you can. For the last hairpin, you want to look for the white part of the curb and brake about 10 meters after it. Brake hard and trail brake towards the hairpin. Use all of the exit on acceleration. This is a very narrow hairpin. Try not to turn in too early. Also watch out for the sausage curb. Yeah, got you there. This corner benefits from a late apex because of the long straight after. And make sure to utilize all the exits as the turf. This time was a 1:22.487. These are the target lap times for each skill group. When you are just starting out in sim racing, you should aim for a 1:28. Someone who does lower tier daily or league racing should aim for around 1:24.5. Someone who does higher tier daily or league racing should aim for a 1:22.5. And the absolute aliens drive around 1:21.5. For pit entry, you want to look for the line on the ground and brake when you've just passed it. Watch out for pit entry as it's very narrow. You cannot take this corner full speed. Don't be a dumbass and damage the car here. Pit exit is also very difficult, especially on cold tires. It is immensely narrow, so take it easy. Because you don't want to end up in the sand as it's very slidey. You want to look for the kink in the road on the left and brake alongside it. Make sure to stay on the left when exiting the pits, especially when traffic is coming. This track is really difficult for overtaking, even for GT3s. Your best bet is down into turn 1. Because you have the longest acceleration zone before it and you have some extra room for different lines. You can also catch someone off guard in the corkscrew, but side-by-side racing always is pretty messy here, because of the awkward line and angles. You can also try to overtake someone at the last hairpin and do a super 200 IQ defensive wheel spin like me to block your opponent.